Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's EMA session on unlocking the visual design. I'm so glad that you guys are here. So this session is all about asking questions, sharing doubts, and building a creative path in graphic design or visual design. Okay. So whether you're wondering how to build a portfolio without any client work, how to find your visual style, or even if you're just starting into visual design, you're at the right place right now. Okay, and you can ask out as many questions as you can. And we have an hour, so let's give it a count properly and work on it. And to help us navigate all through all of this, we have someone really special with us tonight. Let me introduce Sakshi Patki to you. Sakshi is a multidisciplinary visual and graphic designer who specializes in branding, website design, motion graphics. She currently leads visual design at Evolve and has worked across agencies, startups, and educational platforms. So she's seen the world from pretty much every angle. Beyond her client work, Sakshi is always in for mentoring upcoming designers from her own learning and the transition every designer goes from design school to being the industry ready designer. So basically, you are in good hands. Sakshi, thank you very much for being here and for sharing us your time and knowledge with us.
Thank you for the
Sakshi,
lovely.
over to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
you can give a short intro about yourself.
So yeah, like Yash pretty much covered it, like covered everything. Like I graduated it, specializing in animation, and from there to being a visual designer, graphic designer, and also working with the brands. It was quite a very different journey. And even when I was a design graduate, I was pretty much clueless what exactly should I do next. And like whenever I'm interacting with a lot of upcoming designers or even beginners, they also feel lost. So then I felt like whatever learning I have, I feel like putting it out however I can, like mentoring people or helping them. So yeah, this is just one of the possibilities that I could share with you guys. So yeah, let's begin. I feel.
Great, great. Okay, people, are you ready?
Yep, let's go.
Let's start with the first question. So, hello, I'm new to visual design. Where should I begin? And what topics should I explore step by step? Also, what platforms or tools should I use to learn software design? How can I improve my understanding of layout, visual balance, and color?
Okay. When you're completely new to visual design, you have like some idea of what exactly visual design is, graphic design is, what are the subtopics in that. Visual design would be a very vast field. So what exactly you really are inclined towards, that you'll understand by stepping into each and every subcategory to it. And you shouldn't be like rigid when you're beginning something. You should be open to learning more things. That way you'll also feel like you're enjoying something, you're enjoying certain project, certain skills that you want to even take further. Now, to how to begin, like step by step process. So either you can opt for a design school, which is like a very you know like typical way of learning design. Apart from that, there are many transitioner people who have learned or graduated in another field, but now want to turn it into as a design career. Now you can either start by learning fundamentals, and there are endless tools out there to learn design. May it be like Udemy, Domestika courses, even Coursera, even on YouTube. If you simply search what is graphic design, you'll get a like a good videos in detail to understand what exactly graphic design means, what are the subcategories, and where exactly you want to specialize in. So learn about it, what exactly it means from the core. And you can begin with very fundamental or basic things, which is like elements of design. How exactly graphic design forms. So elements as in shapes, colors, typography. It can be a line. So once you understand all of these shapes, what are the endless possibilities that are there, you can also start working more towards the principles of design. How can I balance the layout, composition? So that way also you can improve your understanding of layout, how visually balancing the whole composition or the design is. Learning more about color theory, how exactly each and every color interact with each other and still can be perceived as a very different outcome or output. How exactly certain colors go well together, and how certain colors are very much repelling each other. They are like enemies, they just don't go with each other. So you'll understand all of these things when you actually start learning more into fundamentals of design, graphic design, rather than right away jumping into learning tools. Because tools are something that will keep on evolving, but fundamentals that will stay there as a base. So if you have a strong base, I feel you can adapt to any tool that is gonna come in next 5 years, or that is there like right now. May it be like Figma, may it be Adobe tool like Photoshop, Illustrator. It's gonna keep on evolving. So like first of all, like get your base fundamental strong, either by enrolling to the courses online or simply going to the YouTube, reading medium articles. And one more thing that you can easily think about if you want to grow like exponentially from one point to another is getting a good mentorship. So now, like, if you're already in a design school, you'll have like faculty members, seniors, who'll actually guide you through what is exactly right or wrong, or even how to even think about going from one direction to another direction, how to even begin with a plain canvas. So all of this can be taught. But if you're a beginner who's learning on your own, who's self learning the whole thing, I would really like recommend getting a mentor, even by approaching someone whose work you really adore, like maybe on Instagram or even on LinkedIn. You can simply go ping them like I really like your work and I would really like your views or your thoughts on this kind of project or work I'm doing. So that way, if they're also available, they'll also give their own learnings, or they'll pass it on to you. So that way you can get started with the visual design is what I feel. Now, the step by step process is like a bit longer, but if you get started with all of these points, eventually you'll also understand, okay, like for example, I started with all the fundamentals. Then I started learning more about branding, and branding is something I really, thoroughly enjoy. What exactly in the branding, like a research phase, brand identity? Do you enjoy working in the marketing side of branding or business side of branding? So all of these points, eventually you'll get more clarity on it, and you'll start building your whole career or skills around that. So I would say, like start, and then you'll like figure it out eventually, and just be open and curious about everything that is there in the visual design industry.
Okay, 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 great. That's a really great answer. Yeah. Moving on to the second question. How do you approach a problem from a designer's perspective?
Okay. So now thinking about a problem. So take an example of a client. Okay. So client has come to you, my brand is not performing very well. Now instead of jumping right into the conclusion, okay, this might be the problem, be curious. Why exactly this, like certain thing is working, certain thing is not working, and think about what could be the possibility of endless questions that might even bring up more opportunities for that particular brand, or even certain designs to even improve further. Now think about like researching more about the problem. You can even take some user interviews, or you can even some like ask some people why exactly this particular design or even this particular brand connects with you. And all of these skills actually makes the whole problem more approachable, and more open to more like new opportunities and new possibilities, rather than just coming to the conclusion. So I would say, like be curious, be rigid, don't be rigid, ask why exactly this works, why it doesn't work, and come up with exploration. Don't like just do like 5 or 6 sketches, or even just coming up with 5 or 6 ideas and like sharing it with client, or like just getting stuck with it. Go beyond that, like explore as much as you can, give as much time you can give, and possibly that way, like how exactly that particular problem is going to be beneficial for the user, and not only for your creative juices, or just because client said this will work. You shouldn't go with that approach. Exactly what user needs and how can it be like a better experience for user is something how a designer's perspective should be towards a problem.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, great. Moving on to the third question. So, how do I build a strong portfolio from scratch, including the structure, layout, project selection, that can help me get a good design job?
Okay. So to begin with a portfolio, so portfolio is basically, showcasing your work or putting your work out there. Now, with the portfolio also, it varies a lot based on where exactly you want to put it. You want to put it just because you have worked on something and you really want to share it with the community, that's another thing. But if you are building a portfolio where you want to get that one job at one studio which you really admire, now that's a completely, different scenario. So if you want to get a good job at a certain studio and they're very much into, for example, experimental work, either in graphic design or motion design or like in general. Now, if you show them like a typical design or, something that is very much out there, monotonous, they might not, think of you like, you're not standing out from all the applicants that are there. So usually portfolios have a lot of, like have many different projects in it. But what project actually works for that client, that is something that would make you stand out amongst all the applications. Now creating it from scratch. So if you're already like a design graduate, you have like, certain work you have done in the design assignments or as a graduation project or even year end project. But if you're someone who's a self-learning designer, you can definitely challenge yourself to create more projects where your creative thinking, your design thinking is also being challenged and makes you learn new things every day. That way also it will create like a good growth for you. And apart from that, it will also be shown on your work that you have that kind of strategical mind instead of just a visual mind. So that is very much important when it comes to having a good portfolio. Apart from that, nowadays you will see a lot of portfolios that are there who have like a great branding, like very detailed, from research to the outcome phase to the launch, even social media and everything. Now, what exactly most of the portfolios in this field is missing is how exactly they help the business grow. Now, if you put that strategical or business point of view in your work, that is like a very good point that makes you, on top of a pyramid or, stand out really well, because you're not just thinking about like, how visually beautiful or aesthetic that looks. It should also work very well with the client or with the users, and how exactly users are connecting with it, or users are also feeling like, okay, this is relatable and I feel like, this brand works for me really well. Now, these such testimonials, even the growth in general, like for example, take a social media account. So when you started working on it, it had like maybe 100 followers. Now, since you worked on it for like 3 months, 6 months, now it has grown to maybe 500, 600. Now, this is also a really good growth in terms of where they have started and where you have, make them land. Now, such examples create like a very good like emphasis on your skill set, and also in terms of how you also help business grow along with all the requirements that business or even brands vision or even personality needs. So yeah, mostly on the strong portfolio, I would really recommend like, going more into in depth of how your work is also making the businesses grow. Yeah.
That was on point. Okay. What are recruiters looking for in a designer? And how do I land internships, freelance work, or even my first big client?
Okay. So nowadays, like if I look into any JDs out there on the LinkedIn and all, they want a magician. So you have to make sure where exactly you want to work. Where do you want to focus, or where do you want to grow in, like, in terms of skill or career? If they're asking you to work like, on 10 different things, they want a UI UX, they want a graphic designer, motion designer, you might be just confused. But if that is something you want to just explore, that is a really great opportunity. So in terms of what recruiters look for in a designer, it actually like, varies to from companies or studio or agencies to agency. Now see where exactly, like what kind of work they do. How can you yourself see there as a designer, and how do you see yourself growing in that company? Now that is like a very good thing to look for first thing. And once you have like, a list of for example, 10 companies you really like. Now see what exactly is their requirement. If they already match with whatever skill set you have, plus something that you have, in mind to learn, or something that might challenge your skill set, you can definitely go ahead with that kind of company. And you know yeah, so basically go ahead with that. And how to land internships, freelancing work. So basically you looked into a lot of agency studios, and you have suppose like a 10, list of 10 studios. Now you can either simply go and mail them, like, I'm really interested in the kind of work you do, and would you like to have me as an intern. They might reply, they might not reply, but that is like something you have put out. So even in future, if they feel like, okay, your work is really aligning with what kind of requirement they have, they'll even reach out to you, because it's all basically like a database. Like, they have your contact, you have their contact, you can easily reach out. Or even you can, like, approach them, like, some design meetups, or even like on LinkedIn. So there are many platforms. Even on the ADP list, you'll find many mentors who are actually working. So while mentoring, they also feel like, okay, this person might be a really good fit where I'm working or where I need their help in. So there are a lot of different tools or even platforms where you can, or get to create like a really good connections that will land internships, even freelancing work for you. And apart from that, even in terms of, like, a physical, how to find a work around it. Okay, so now if I stay in a particular area, even around me, if I feel like, okay, this brand is something which might improve a lot by if I give my skills, or skills to that particular brand, then I can even go and approach, like, I do all of this kind of work, show them your work or portfolio. And if they feel like, okay, if they need something, sometimes they are not convinced, sometimes they are convinced. So it's like, just go and approach people. That way you'll also understand what exactly is working in your portfolio, what exactly can be improved, and how exactly people are also reviewing your work, so that you can also improve and get better at proposing or even communicating or connecting with people. So even with first big client and all, I feel it's the same process. Either you create like a good portfolio, go approach them, convince them on how you can make the difference or make that particular, either brand or business grow. That is like a very good point where they can also see or trust you, or get convinced with your work or your skill set or even your design thinking mindset. If that lands very well at a like very good time, I think that's how you can, get work. Yeah.
Okay. And how can I stay motivated and continue improving my creativity while navigating through the whole journey?
Okay. So nowadays, like, everyone is out there, like, even on socials, you see a lot of website, you see a lot of social media posts, keep on scroll, like, you keep on scrolling every day. So you see a lot of creative stuff that is going on there. Most of the time, it is something that is motivated enough to, do something, or even start something, or even learn something very new. And to keep on improving, I feel like whatever you're working on, you really need to put it out there. If you're just keeping everything to yourself, you might just marry the whole design that you have created, and you might never get over with it. So you'll have to put it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I went through this. I was going through this, like how to stay motivated and how to keep working, how to keep doing more and more projects. So if I could, I would say motivation is very situational, I would say. I mean, sometimes, some days you are motivated, some days you're not. So I think there, just to get up and start anywhere, just sketch, just open your Figma, open your Miro board or whatever, and just put down your ideas. Just start is something that, sometimes it takes hours, an hour or 2 hours to get on track, but then eventually you do. So I think this could help. So yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a good way to break the procrastination that we have been doing. Or even if you feel like like at some places you also find like a great ideas while doing like very daily chores like walking and all. So like it depends, like highly depends on person to person. Some people might just feel like I need to push myself. Some people might feel like, if I take that one little break, I might just come out even sharper. So yeah, like it depends on person to person, and like everyone should figure it out, like, what exactly works for them in terms of motivation. But on a generic term, I feel like if you see something out there, it actually, feels like, oh, this is very, fascinating, and what if I could do it? And they also start feeling like, I should try this thing out or that thing out. And like being open to learning is something that actually motivates, people, or even get things done. That as simple as that. Like you have a deadline, even if you're not motivated, you'll just go out there and you're like, okay, I have to figure it out. Just sit for an hour and do things. And yeah, and even to feel motivated, I feel when you put your work out, you're getting some reviews, good or bad. You'll also feel like, okay, people are also liking or, giving me a good criticism about my work. That is also a good nudging point for you to even go further with the creativity, or even like, exploring more things. So yeah, I feel that's it.
True, true, true. I completely agree with you. And thank you, Atharva, for sharing that tip. Okay. Moving on to the next question. How do you deal with creative blocks and stay motivated in a constantly evolving creative field? Or is procrastination always bad, or it can be used as a strength? And like, how can I push myself to design more creatively and keep my ideas fresh?
In terms of creative blocks, like I personally ask myself, is it a creative block or is it just a procrastination out of fear? And at some places, I also feel like it's not a procrastination, it's more of a process as a designer, because we don't have to, sit in front of laptop like 24/7 to think about something, to brainstorm. So, that one little walk or that one little hike, or even like, meeting people or just observing surrounding, that gives a lot of, great ideas. And I always like, keep my phone notes open. So if I'm walking, I get a great idea, or I feel like, okay, I can build on on this. I simply, write it down or type it down. And to, stay motivated, or, I feel like, like again, like as I said, like putting work out, and also sharing it more with the people who can relate, or even they are consuming, and knowing their, thought process, or how exactly well they are connecting to whatever you have been putting out. That works great in terms of motivation. And in terms of like evolving creative field, it's gonna keep evolving. Like from the all design movements you see, it's never been the same, but it's never been outdated as well. So even right now, if you feel like, I want to do something that was, Bauhaus moment, you can go back, explain, like, understand it more, even explore more. So that way also you feel like, creative blocks are not something that you should only put into work. It can also be like, simply working on a doodle, or maybe just coloring book. So you can, get your creative juices going by doing something. And at some place you also feel like, okay, now I have that energy, or, that kind of punch that I can, even put into the work. So basically, like, this is how I deal with the creative blocks, and even changing places around me, or even timings, that like routines, that works great for me. So, for example, like a couple months back, I was just, working at the same time, same place, everywhere, every time. So then I just felt like, I need to change something. I decided I just want to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I changed the place. I went to maybe drawing room to, just sketch it out and all. And from there, whatever I could think, I might not have, done the same in the same room, same time, maybe at the 10 a.m., where a lot of people are just pinging us, or, asking what is your bandwidth and all. So just get out of that routine, get out of that place, find a new place which is speaking to you. That actually helps you get out of creative block. So yeah, and for the procrastination part, I feel like at some point it is fear. Like out of fear you're not working, because you don't have that skill. So understand, is it out of fear, or is it simply something that, you want to break from? So once you know that it is out of fear, like Atharva said, you need to sit and you just need to, write the 10 ideas down. You have to push yourself. Or is it Or if you feel like you just need a break, that break can also bring like a great ideas afterwards. Or even when you're doing simplest things, ideas also keep on flowing in your mind. We are not resting our mind when even when we are sleeping. So even at times that happened, that the dream that I saw yesterday, it actually helped me working today. I know it sounds like a bit fictional, but yeah, it happens because when you're constantly thinking about something, you also start dreaming. And in the dreams, like it happens that you're figuring something out, you're finding solutions, you're exploring a lot of things. So yeah, it can be used as strength. And how to push yourself to design more creatively and keep my ideas fresh. Again, like exploring more things, go through a lot of sites that have great projects, great works that designers have already done. Learn more about like very basic, like keep your fundamentals very strong. Learn about design movements, and completely you can also think about shifting the whole shifting the whole concept, or the content that you're consuming. For example, if I'm constantly just going through all the reels and everything every day, I might feel like I need like something more than that, because it's getting very monotonous. Then maybe just go and buy a fashion magazine, or you can even go and buy you know any art book that is there, or go visit an art gallery and see how differently things are. Now how can you apply it? So for example, you can also do this exercise on your own whenever you have some time. So basically you can limit yourself, you can give yourself constraints that also gets the creative blocks going. So for example, like designing a poster just by using fonts, how can that be done? Or just like one icebreaker question, Yash also asked, would you rather like design a poster using only colors or fonts? Now that's a very good like brainer that's going on. What would you choose? Why exactly are you choosing that? And why exactly you like that you chose that specific thing? So you can also think more on such exercises, giving more constraints, or designing completely. So for example, designing a banking dashboard in a Swiss style, how that would look like. So it's a very good riddle you can ask yourself, create more exercises around that, and just get going. And it's never only about work. You have to also work on your own personal projects, or portfolios. That also gives your creative juices going. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the fifth question. Days, if you don't design a premium looking design, it often feels outdated. The biggest challenge I face is going in the wrong direction with visual design, ending up with something that doesn't align with the solution, which founders don't appreciate. So, how do I avoid this and stay on the right track?
Okay. Now, the word premium looking design, is it something that client asked, or is it something that you are asking yourself to create? That's a great question to ask, first of all, because it varies a lot. Like some people like it, some people say, I like it popping. Some people like it, I like it subtle. So understand what exactly is the need, what exactly is the requirement from a stakeholder or the founder's point of view. Biggest challenge I face, okay, the wrong direction part. Okay. So I feel like, for example, there is a branding project and it is like from A to Z. Now cut that whole project into little chunks. Now instead of working on the whole project and sharing it with founders and getting like feedback that this is not aligning with what requirements we had, instead of that you can divide the whole thing in the chunks. So first is the research phase, or understanding the project. Now for example, first is understanding the project. Now you're getting onto the call with the founders, understanding the whole brand, what is the problem, what is the opportunity that we have, understanding the whole thing, documenting it, and rechecking the like rechecking the whole thing with them. Like the understanding you have, is it aligning with the requirement or vision that founders have? That is one thing. Apart from that, next step we can do is the research. So once research is also done, you can again go and have a call with them or meet them, see if the requirements and everything is aligning very well, and then move on to the next step. So each and every step, or even combining two steps together, can be discussed with the founder before you even go ahead and create everything, all the refined versions and everything. That would definitely skip the part where you feel like, okay, is this the right direction or not? Simply go and ask. There is no right or wrong unless and until you show it to them. And apart from that, like, if you, for example, if you're designing a brand identity, you know certain things will go very well, but what they have as a vision might be different from what you think is the vision. So you can simply create like a mood board before even going to, sketching mode, sketching 100 designs, or exploring everything. So show the mood board, see if it's as per their vision or the requirement. And you can definitely put in your skill set, your experience of over the years, whatever you have learned into that, and also make them understand why exactly certain decisions are right and certain decisions are not, aligning with the brand's personality or vision. So all these approaches, followed together, can definitely make you escape such situation where at the end you are just like, founders are just like, what did you even create? We didn't expect this, or we didn't even ask for this. So just make sure you're checking with the client or founders each and every, at the every step that you're taking in the project, and just like completely escape the whole miscommunication part. Yeah, that's all. And if you
No,
feel like
that's very
you are not on right track, simply put a post-it note on your desk or even on your laptop, so you know that even if you are sidetracking, oh, I need to follow this. So that's one way you can also try doing that.
true. Okay, moving on to the next question.
Yeah, Bash.
I have a question. Actually, this is my question only. So many a times face this situation wherein, the founder won't agree with the designs, even if we say that, even if we think that we need to share inspirations or we need to talk in the real world when working with a company, for example, designing a landing page or for designing an app from scratch, right? Redesigning something from scratch, like the reality completely flips because they wouldn't even look at our inspiration or something like you called mood board. They will only look for the final, not even the draft that we should say. They will ask for the final design, like that at that level of attention to detail or craft that these days companies are looking like they just want the final, yeah, okay, is it communicating at a glance
Hmm.
according to them. So that's that's how often the taste, the visual taste, how we wanted to take it forward versus, because it has happened a lot of time. For example, I'll give you an example of a landing page in my previous company when we were designing a landing page. So there, the entire website is so old, the company is so old. I had a process in mind, like first we'll decide the content. Content is basic thing, right? We'll fix the information architecture, and then I'll talk about the inspiration or the mood board, the direction, the visual direction. But that didn't actually happen. They are like, "Hey, no, 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 you are expert. Give me the full UI. We just want to." And the founder attitude is like that. And when I spoke to one of the senior member who is like working in the company for 10 plus years, he's like, yeah, don't show the wireframes, like you get mad, you know, when you are done with the finalist UI, just you should be prepared with that. Like, okay, because startups works like that. In the
Hmm.
bigger company where there is the processes are established in bigger MNC like Atlassian or something like that. There they have the process, everything is structured. But in mid-level or any kind of startup, it's not like that. The reality is completely different. So you know how to deal that, and he like typically these people are hot-headed, and I was shocked. So it is how like the current scenario that I have seen. Some people would say कि यार मजा नहीं आया. And I was like, what? You don't even want to discuss the
Yeah.
direction, and they just say कि यार ये company इसका देखो ये ऐसा copy कर लो. Direction. Some founders are like they're not happy with that. They want very bad. They have a very bad visual taste. So if you
Hmm.
design some oldish design like थोड़ा सा बहुत, it will look very rough, not so premium. So it's like, yeah, this is what I want. And it's like, okay. And the founders are like that. They want, for example, her wife is an influencer, right? So he wants that, she is the hero of this company. So she should be on the hero section of the page. she उसका फोटो आना चाहिए, वेयर इज द टीम, एंड ही इज
Yeah.
लाइक हाँ ये होना चाहिए वो, लाइक टोटली कंफ्यूज यार, बहुत मतलब इट्स वेरी दिक्कत वाली चीज यार, इट वोंट वर्क द वे यू आर स्पीकिंग, आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड, इवन आई नो दैट, बट it doesn't happen like that क्योंकि he is managing other things and he'll just get mad for some reason. I remember like I was designing a screen and this I put a photo of this gym, like a girl weightlifting something. And I remember he shouted in front of everyone saying that, this is not what we want, this is not our vision. Why are you doing this? He just looked at my laptop suddenly and like unpredictable things happen. So the way you're explaining nicely, we'll sit with the stakeholders, do this, do that, blah blah blah. Like nothing works like that in real. So what's your take on this? How can we, be more proactive and then challenge this kind of situation?
I personally feel like, if you're working at such environment and all, and where they're very rigid about their process, you should also be someone who's very rigid about your process. Because when you're clear about what exactly to be done, you can do things. But if you're not clear, they're not giving you good to go or green flags and all. You should be like, very rigid and convince them that this is your process, and otherwise you won't work like that. You should put your step forward, is what I feel. And if this is just like one project thing, even like I personally would feel like, okay, I can, tolerate it. But if it's happening again and again, I really feel like, you should look for either some other company or people who can actually understand the experience or skill set that you're bringing, rather than just, treating you like that. And I mean, we all are human. We are not like perfect and all. They should also understand that. But if some people are not understanding, we should at least stand up for ourselves that this is my process. And even if you feel like, this is your vision, it wasn't communicated well to me. So I feel like our communication should be better in terms of, having more calls, you being involved in the project. Otherwise, whatever I give, it should be, enough for you if this is what you want. So yeah, I personally feel that, like, how I would, personally. I mean, I know like it's
Okay, okay.
better said than,
One,
done.
yeah. And I have one last question, like where do I refer, good looking visuals? Because whenever I start taking inspiration, I struggle to find really good premium looking, like really good looking visuals, which, which is kind of aligning with what I'm looking for. So how to find that? Like I know a few of the websites, but still like I have to scout a lot. I have to explore a
Hmm.
lot, then I'll be able to get. So for example, like in different domains, it might be that difficult to, find those specific examples if you want some visual inspiration. So how to, get that thing?
So visual inspirations or visuals to be used in the design?
Both, I would say both.
Both. So for inspiration, there are like, many tools. You can simply even look into other designers' work. Those are like really great inspiration. Even going into the design movements, learning about the Art Deco, even Bauhaus, Swiss style, and all. So those are not something which you should follow as is, but it definitely gives you a good nudge to the inspiration where you can think of something totally original or totally new. So that is one thing. Apart from that, like, whatever, you know
Okay.
content you consume, either made on social media, go read some design books, or even go look into the art library, go look into, some of the
Hmm.
great painters, their paintings and all, what exactly they teach us, or what exactly is the concept or, thought process that has put into, the whole painting. So there are a lot of, thinking that goes behind everything that is being created. You can also think about this lens in terms of everything that you're consuming. That is a good inspiration to, even start something on your own, or, start with a design. And apart from the tool part, like, so inspiration is this, but apart from the tool part, there might be, tools out there. For example, maybe like FreePic, Envato. For icons, there are many, different tools. Shivani also mentioned this array na karke. I'm not sure about this, but you can check it out. Like I'll also do. So there are many tools like such, but those are not up to the mark, is what I found over the years. So at some places, you'll also have to create your originality. And if you feel like you want a quick workaround, then whatever you have, modify it, merge two things together. That might also work out for some projects. Does that answer your question?
Okay, I guess, yeah, it does. So adding in like one more point from my side, which I felt over these years, like at least this year, I felt that it is something, or like finding inspiration for the visuals and everything. We have everything around us. It's just we have to get on our vehicle and just roam around and find the inspirations. We have many things to take inspirations from. So
Yeah.
that is one point which I could add from my side.
You can
So
also try generating some of the visuals. Those are,
nowadays it's like pretty easier.
yeah. So if you have like a great thought, but you don't know how to put it out, you just simply put it into the text, put the prompt, and you'll get a, some output. And based on that, you might even, take it further into your own creation. It might not be, just using whatever they have generated, but taking more from it. Yes, sir.
Just adding to this, I think if you're also wanting to do where you want to find inspiration, which are really good looking but also innovative, try not to look at the same products. As in, if you're designing something, maybe if you're designing a soap package or something, don't only look at the soap package. Try looking at different things. Just watch a very good movie or look at some, album covers. Sometimes cross looking at cross discipline stuff sort of starts, you start figuring out, like, you could do things the other way and then start incorporating those as inspiration. So inspiration board would just not be what you're designing, but it could be everything. So what Sakshi was saying as well, like if you study the entire design as, from where it actually started documenting, like you read books and everything, you start understanding that there is a pattern to it, and then what fits with what you're trying to do, and then start studying about it and put it together. So that way it'll be really good, meaning that it fundamentally it'll be very sound, it'll be good looking also, but then it'll also have a meaning to it that way. Yeah.
But what if, like you said, watch movie? What if, like, movie में ही कुछ मिला नहीं inspiration? So our time is wasted. So how not to waste time? Because a lot of time this
Watch
happens.
another.
Like a lot of time, like I look for inspiration, endless scrolling. I like, यार मिल ही नहीं रहा है कुछ. So how to
then
fix
then
this
you know what,
problem?
yes, so the thing is, subconsciously you consume whatever years you've lived in your life, you've subconsciously consumed a lot of things. If this is the block that you're getting at, where you're trying to look for something and you're not getting, shut down your computer, shut down your phone, and write down. There is a power of subconscious that comes in when you start sketching and when you start writing stuff down. Just 10-15 minutes of those now and pushing yourself to actually look back will really really help you, because sometimes just doom scrolling is going to give you same kind of stuff, because your algorithm also knows this is the kind of stuff you're looking at, so they're going to
Yes.
start giving you same kind of things. So you could, take a step back, not depend on these things, and start ideating yourselves on, what could be the things. And from there you start, whichever one, the point of contact, like, point of interest, that this is something I would like to explore, and you start from there then. That might make more sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the best thing you've mentioned is about turning the digital phones off and
Yeah, yeah,
ideate.
yeah. Because they
Mhm.
distract you more than they help,
Right,
and your
right,
mind has
right.
already consumed a lot of good things. So it's
Mhm.
better to, not depend on that.
Yeah,
Try that out.
like I do one thing nowadays, like whatever the concept or context I have in my mind according to the project design, I just put it up in the chat GPT and it gives me the keywords. So I try to find, if at all, if something matches, it's okay. If something not, then it's not. So that's how I try to do now. So yeah.
Yeah. Even before that, you can add in like one step. Give yourself 10 minutes ka timer. Whatever the problem is, whatever question there is, you have to restrict yourself to find all the possible solutions. May it be like a wild solution, but write it down and then put it into, like, see what chat GPT says. And you will see the difference what machine can do and what you can do in 10-second time.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah, actually, the challenge is to create something differentiating something. right? Not to copy, but to create something which differentiates. So that is the main challenge because we tend to, copy things. We
Mm.
एक element इधर से उठा लो, and then sometimes it looks kind of a copy. तो थोड़ा सा ना वो differentiating factor it takes थोड़ा सा but वही चीज है इसमें. So this is the also one of the challenge that takes place while designing something, एकदम ही अलग और aligned design. उस चीज में
Yeah.
this is it.
And even if you feel like, okay, you are taking one design and you are trying to copy it, you can't copy it completely. तो इवन व्हेन यू आर ट्राइंग टू रेप्लिकेट इट, यू विल फील लाइक ओके ये ऐसे होता तो ये और थोड़ा बेटर रहता. अगर एक्सप्लोरेशन करें देन यू विल अंडरस्टैंड ओके फ्रॉम व्हाट आई स्टार्टेड टू रेप्लिकेट नाउ इट्स मच मच बेटर एंड इट वर्क्स फॉर मी. सो लाइक जो कोई इंस्पिरेशन या रेफरेंस यू हैव टेकन, डोंट स्टॉप एट द थर्ड ड्राफ्ट या फिर थर्ड एक्सप्लोरेशन. Take it till 10, maybe 15, and you will see the difference, and you'll also crack that वो जो है ना वो कॉपी लग रहा है इसमें, तो you'll crack that version. So try that maybe next time.
Yeah, I mean practice से ही it's
Yeah.
possible because
Okay, great, great. Thank you. Moving on to the next question. Sometimes at the start of a project, you instinctively lean into a certain direction or solution, and it ends up making sense. How do you justify that kind of biased or gut-led approach in your design process and make it stronger?
So so you have to understand that certain direction or the solution, is it coming from the experience that you have for like years you have worked. So if it's coming from an experience, because usually the gut feeling comes from a pattern. So for example, like very silly example, if you take a look at newspaper, you see certain fonts that are there like for years, and suddenly one day if you receive a newspaper that is in completely like Comic Sans typeface, you would notice like okay, this is not working. Why exactly that happened? Because you knew from the experience that certain fonts, certain typefaces work for the newsletter. So if this particular direction or solution is from the experience that you have had for years, you'll have to back it up with a proper proof, research, and also like all the interviews or even things that are out there. So make sure whatever gut feeling is has a like a good backup of why exactly you thought this way and why exactly it works in your opinion. And with all the proof, all the documentation, all the research, I'm pretty sure like when you present it to the client, they'll also understand the whole thought process that has been behind it. And like one more shift we can do is when we are explaining all the gut feeling based direction solution with all the research you have done, start with with all the research that we have done or with all the exploration we have done. This is what we have come to. Instead of I feel like this should work, I feel like this is aesthetic. Why exactly do you feel this is aesthetic? Because that might work for certain industry, and that has that like how it has been for over the years, and how people are also consuming that in the industry. So with the proper proof, I feel you can even justify with the direction. And with this gut felt direction, it might also not work at some places. So with proper research, you will also understand why exactly it's not working. Sometimes you just want to get the first idea going, get it approved, get it done, and just get done with the project. But along with the process of see if it actually represents the brand, represents the problem that is out there, you'll understand it is working or it is not working. So like giving you an example, so recently I was working on a branding project and I was working on a brand identity part. So I really liked like two of them logos, and I actually get it printed in a very big like big format. I put it in my living room and watched it from a very like 10 feet distance, then 6 feet, and then I understood okay that logo is not looking like a logo that a brand should represent. Then I understood the design I really liked, which is not working. Then I had to let it go. So this kind of gut felt solution or the direction gets more clarity when you actually put your thought or even the research or the execution part on it. So yeah, this is how you can even like look into it and see if it actually fits. If it fits, then give it like a good proof led documentation to them.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next question. How can a designer start building their personal brand unique style? Why does self-branding matter and how do you begin doing it meaningfully?
Okay. So branding in general is what is making that brand feel like it it has its own personality. It's not just amongst all the other brands. So it also depend it also applies to the self branding. So for example, you have 100 designers around you. How are you putting out that makes you stand out? That is also something that personal brand should speak. It should also speak about your personality. It should also reflect it in the style. So for example, if you're working on 5 different projects and you see that one common point you use in every single project which is working really well, and it's actually adding or challenging your skill set, so that is something that you create your unique styles around. And if you start putting similar kind of styles or the processes or the work out there, they'll also recognize you from that point of view. For example, any famous painter you see, you'll easily recognize their paintings from this is how this is particular painter's painting, this is also his, this is also that. So what exactly makes it unique is you putting your personality out there into your work, and it sticking to it. So that is one thing, but this definitely doesn't mean not opening your skill set or opening yourself to exploring more. But when it comes to unique style and all, you can definitely try out, not even try out, it actually usually happens you're working on something and you see a pattern that that is there in your design. And why exactly self branding matters is how people are recognizing you, your personality, how what you actually care about is something that makes you stand out from the crowd. So this is the same way self branding works. It may be launching your own brand or simply putting out your work out there. It may be like on social media or you are sharing it somewhere with someone. So like that you can even keep doing it consistency. That also creates like a good self branding, self branding around it. And to do it meaningful, ask yourself, what do you really care about? How is it reflecting in your design? And what is it that making your design look like it's your personality? So that would really reflect in your self branding, and that would make you recognizable is what I feel.
Okay, understood. Okay, last question of the day. Since AI is changing the role and importance of visual design, should designers invest time in learning prompt-based tools? And in this AI-powered era, how can designers find clients, especially without prior testimonials or social proofs?
So, with the AI changing the role and importance, I don't think it's changing the role or importance. It's definitely, being that buddy to every designer. Okay, you don't want to do that mundane task, let me do that. So, it's always been like that, and it should always been like that. Being the mind and him being the hands. So it should always, like, I feel in the visual design or even the graphic design work, it should work like that. Like, thoughts are yours, ideas are yours, concepts are yours, and the AI is just there, to help you out or to give you that one little nudge to even think beyond that. Because at some places, when you keep on searching, and you're putting out prompts and all, you'll get like a really great ideas, or some are like very mundane. So you'll understand why exactly we need to push boundaries and what exactly needs to be thought even beyond that. So,
Yeah.
like, personally, I feel the role and importance of AI is being a buddy to us, not like replacing us. And apart from that, yeah, like, should you invest time in learning prompt based tools? Like, instead of saying invest time, I would say just go experiment. Don't be like, okay, though, like, I have to sit for 2 hours and just learn how to, prompt it. See what works. Try and error would be a really great way to learn, at least in this structure, because AI is constantly, upgrading. You're never going to have like a one formula to get you the best prompt or best result. So just try and error, see what works, what doesn't work. And yeah, like, you can definitely put your skills or put your mind or put your concept or strategy into such tools to get even better results and save time in very mundane task or monotonous work that you have been doing for years. It's a very plus point for nowadays, like, to all the designers. and to how you can get design, like how you can get clients, or especially without prior testimonials and social proof. With the AI powered era, I don't think it's very much different at this point. But like for designers, finding a client or even finding a project to work on is pretty much same like how it has been. But without testimonials or social proof, you can definitely approach them with whatever work you have, whatever portfolio you have currently. That might be a good kickstart even for them to understand what exactly your skill set are, what do you specialize in. And if any of these can be backed up or helped with AI, then it's a plus point, because you're saving your time. You're also giving more time into the thinking or the brainstorming part of it, rather than doing the mundane task. For example, just adding a outline, or maybe adding a stroke, or changing colors. So all these things, or even like more mundane things, can be done using AI. But when it comes to thinking creatively, like our mind is the sharpest tool, is what I think. Yeah. And without testimonials and all, your portfolio is good enough even to get your career started or even land some clients. In terms of social proof, see, like if you have a PDF with you of your work, you can definitely show that. But if you have it on Behance, you can simply share one link and it's much easier for them, rather than downloading the whole PDF and then going through the whole thing. They might even skip doing that process, and you might lose a client. So just to make their experience of looking at your work better, that might even get you a job. So, yeah.
Okay, people. Now it's the time for live AMA session. Now you can ask a question, since like we have already exceeded the time. We'll only take one or two questions more at the moment, but we'll surely give you your answers in the server. But yeah, currently we can take up one or two questions. So you, the stage is all yours. You can ask questions.
Yeah.
Hi, Sakshi, Yash. So thank you very much for all your insights. I was waiting for my question actually. So I am a design researcher. I'm currently making my portfolio. It's about three UX case UX studies. So I have my content, I have my flow, and it's on the Figma file for now. But where I'm currently struggling is trying to understand what could be the layout, where could be the grid lines, much white space I should have it, and what should be the color palette. So in these things I'm struggling. Besides, as a design researcher, I focus on mapping, like ethnography, empathy mapping, and all. So I know how to do it, but to present it, I have to say beautifully to and cleanly or in my website. I look for templates, but somehow or then those templates will just become one another template they see on their another website. So I need some suggestions here.
Yeah. So you already have your work and you just want to put it out as your portfolio or website. So there you can do is, just find references that align with your, personality or whatever you represent. So that is one thing. Apart from that, just don't stick to just one template or one reference. I say find 10 references. You'll get an idea what exactly is the, layout or a composition that represents a certain work of yours or a section of yours very well, very put. And that way you can also choose the layout, spacing and all. And if you are someone who's not very much into visual design or graphic design, sorry, you're on.
I'm not.
Okay, then you can simply follow the references and you will see what exactly is the difference you are creating. Try to replicate a certain things and you'll understand why exactly spacing matters or this particular composition matters. So finding a reference would be the answer for you.
Yeah, I have references and I try to do that. So it's like I cannot just actually cannot be paste that reference into my type of content, right? I
Hmm.
have to do the tweaking and have to change the content and something. So there's those references become like a rigid and they become more rigid for me. I need more flexibility in my work that I can present different kinds of content. So that's
Hmm.
also one problem.
So that actually works, when you're taking in reference, कि visually वो कैसे दिख रहा है. Now you know how to take it forward. For example, there is a visual reference where they have used light blue color with a stroke. Now, if you want to take it further in a UX study where you have a table, now you can take a base that is light blue and a stroke. Now the whole consistency would be followed. Even after table, you have a certain section where you want layout that is like half white, half blue. Now how you can make it consistent throughout? So take one element, line, make the line shape, color, and follow it throughout the page, throughout the section. That would make it look like, okay, this is a whole page and it's not like
Okay.
section stacked together.
Got it. I will try it.
Okay, one more question if anyone has it. So we'll go with it.
Yes, Sam.
So my question was around prototyping tools as they are able to do pretty much most of the app design these days. So and so do you think that Figma specific prototypes are still being used and there would be like it would it be beneficial to actually learn those tools like Rive, Play, Protopie and all of that, or should we just switch to the prompt tools which is like Lovable, Mold, Replit, these things?
So like why exactly we create a prototype, like, for example, a landing page, okay? It is to give you exactly how the experience should be. And creating a prototype, if that can be done using AI tools like Rive, Play, or Prototopy, that is, if it's saving your time, you can definitely, try it out. It's nothing like, you have to have a skill to create a prototype in Figma. If it's communicating the whole thing, definitely make use of AI is what I feel. So yeah, Sonam, if you want to add something to this.
Yeah. So what you could do is sometimes what happens is if it's just an idea, right, that this is something, this is an interface or something that you want to design and this is the flow. Things like Protopie and all will help you create generic code base stuff which you can, quickly validate. But if you're going to go for something which is really specialized, as in if you're building an ecosystem which has many elements wherein everything needs to be micromanaged, micro interactions come in, or if the page layout is not very common, in that situation Figma would work better because you have more control over your elements and you don't need to get into the code to basically change it and make it happen. Otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time doing that. So if it's right now it's at a point where if you want to generate something which is a little more generic to communicate the flow or the point, like this is how it's going to be, then you can use your AI tools at the moment to help that. But if it's really specialized that you know that these tools will not be able to adapt, because you might not have a very, generic kind of maybe navigation. Your navigation is not bottom bar on the application. It could be something else. It could be like a wheel which is moving. So all of those things are not something that currently the AI tools may be able to, process and give you that result. So you might end up spending more time fixing it. On your situation, you can choose and pick. But both of them are valid.
And also, based on that, now it's usually said that the attention span is growing lesser and lesser. So when we used to try to have retention, like design for retention, then even variable rewards and all of that work. But I think now that is also not working as much. So any suggestions on that, especially in health apps?
Yeah, validation, giving some like the boosters, like to keep them coming back, which is, I mean, we were spoiled now with the entire part where we're immediately getting what we want. So the rewards, if they're not going to be valuable, they'll be forgotten. So, but if there is a delight point, even a micro interaction delight point is going to be there, that might help because that's going to keep them coming back subconsciously. So it needs to go even deeper now. We are done with the superficial reward systems. It needs to be more of an emotional connect. And you can find that.
Okay, I'll have to read on this because I've not seen it like commonly.
Yeah, so read this book called Emotional Design. It's also by Don Norman. There he explains about product, but from emotions perspectives, because that's where we're going at right now.
Yeah.
And I think the coming generation, everybody is so much in touch with how they feel, how they communicate, all of that. So all of that needs to be there in the interface as well.
Okay. And
Yeah,
one last thing. Usually in apps, what would you say when does accessibility become important? Like at which stage would you say?
all stages. So there is something called, if you've studied statistics, there's a bell curve wherein your majority of the people are in the center, that they are your main target audience. They are the ones who are going to consume your product the most and give you the revenue. And then there are these, it's on the edge, the both of them. So these are edge case scenarios. So accessibility is something which you need to take care of from all, like, from the time you start. And the reason I say that is because you don't know how it's going to get adapted on different screens or different devices, or if somebody's system is not very fast, it's slow, or it's not rendering colors properly. So it's become very essential to have that, so that you cover as many target audiences as possible, just not the main part where everybody has like a good system. That would be like a happy state for everyone. So also the importance of accessibility in recent times has greatly increased from before. It's coming everywhere, and people appreciate the fact that there is accessibility. Like, you've taken care of that in your product. It gives you credibility. It shows that the designers who have created have a thought process and they're inclusive. And these are the things which are widely, expected at the moment. So think of it just not from usability perspectives, but also from visual perspectives, from experience perspectives, all of it.
Yeah, I was thinking about visual wise also, like for color, the colors are not working and all that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's just going to put your work in a space where, okay, this is a design who understands it and has taken care of all use cases. It's going
Yeah.
to, yeah, increase your credibility if you consider all these things. And of course, in general scenario, it's going to work always.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
I even feel like with the
Okay.
healthcare industry, it's very personal. So if you connect that particular emotional, aspect of it, it's gonna work really great for the user.
So
Yeah, actually, for that, I was trying to understand at what stage, because when you're creating at an MVP level, then you're just trying to get the feature out and like the main product out. And so, like for other products, it can still be delayed a bit. But for health, I was thinking more in aspect of how soon we still have to do it, as in contrast to other apps.
So your product is also something that you're building for people. Eventually,
Hmm.
it's that. If you can crack that, then, I mean, if your MVP has an aspect to it, you'll be able to see it becoming more successful. Like, more people will adapt to it because you've taken care of that aspect. Otherwise, there are so many products out there already. So how do you differentiate? Even in your MVP, an MVP is you're going to be a step, like a base step upon which you're going to build things. So consider this aspect. It might help you stand out actually.
It's also the like you're introducing yourself out there. So if you're just introducing yourself halfway there, then it might not even stand out and you might get sidetracked or anything. So I think both of them should go hand in hand, when your identity and everything is also out there and the MVP is also being created. When you launch it, you have some recognition out there rather than just being another brand out there amongst all.
Makes sense. Thank you.
okay, people. I guess that's a wrap for today. Before you leave, so I have an announcement to make. Okay. So we have a Discord server exclusively for Evolve members. We're still working on it. It's still under construction right now, but it will be live by next week. Evolve is a place not only for designers, but it is a creative space where designers, filmmakers, or editors, anyone can freely work on their creative skills. They can improve, learn, grow, and talk with many people out there and work on it. So, yeah, thank you so much for bringing such thoughtful questions. And thank you very much for bringing such thoughtful questions tonight. And I hope you're leaving with a bit more clarity. And Sakshi, a huge thank you for being so generous with your insights and for keeping it real with us.
Thank you so much for joining. It was really great questions with the conversation discussion we had. It was definitely a great.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Bye bye. Good night. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
weekend.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.